Hey yo, what's up? This is the Protect Your Neck podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Tom. Analysts work you can find over at MMAJunkie.com as well as the Action Network. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA. That's what we're going to do here tonight whenever you're listening to this. It will be after the fight and before the next fight because it's just going to be a recap show. Not an official after party because, I was a little too tired. I was a little too partied out, if you will. Not really partied out. But just beat from the week. Normal fight card start, and I'm here in the West Coast U.S. time where it's kind of catered to us people in the U.S. North America. So we're the last people to complain. I definitely am not going to complain. I enjoy the normal, air quote, normal times. Allows me to get some morning grappling in, which I did to make up for some of the spotty days as far as training goes. It's still been a bit crazy here. Just update, stepdad. He's doing better, but he's out of ICU, but he is still in the hospital. Hopefully, we'll be getting him back soon this week, beginning of. But yeah, it's been a bit of a tag team with the situation with the dogs and the madre and everything else. So yeah, apologies there. That's another reason why I haven't gotten with my guy Kyle Mack over there for Combat Chronicles podcast at Combat CR, which, by the way, he released a recap show, not just for UFC 277, but arguably just as importantly, if not more importantly, where I am shamefully lacking in the JMMA and just really MMA outside of UFC. My beat big fights in Bellator and Contender Series, the stuff I get paid for. It's more than... I got more than an excuse, sure, but I still feel bad about it because I appreciate the other stuff. I just don't have the time for it. Thankfully, there are smarter people who do dedicate that time, and that is Kyle. If you want any Risen 37 coverage for Saika Izawa and the lot, I didn't realize Takoro was down at 125 for the first time at like 44 years old. Remember that fight he had with LC Davis? And that was like, later career Tokoro and Bellator. I forget. It was one of my favorite Bellator fights, though. LC Davis versus Hideo Tokoro. If you want to look for a more modern one, that guy is through the eras, that guy. So, shouts to Kyle, who's always doing a fantastic job on that. But I got to get him on here for our 90s episode, which I have been crunching in between. I just worry that my research for this episode and prep has been spread out so much. I've been having to double back and watch stuff that I already had, which I hate to do. Just in my processes, sometimes I got to do that within a week. Depending on when the videos due, if I can't write it in time. And now we got Contender Series going every Tuesday, so I really got to be on my shit. So we're gonna knock out a recap of UFC 277 from top to bottom. This shouldn't be too long of an episode. You can check the timestamp for when that starts. I'm just going to follow through with a couple more shouts and the Amazon click-throughs that I didn't get to on the last podcast. Figured, if we're doing a recap podcast, giving you guys an extra, a bonus, if you will. And thankfully on Twitter, at DanTomMMA, at the PYN Podcast on Twitter and all social platforms. Like, subscribe, follow us there. We won't pollute your feeds, but where I'm most active, at DanTomMMA on Twitter. Posted up a poll for you guys to vote. Do you want the live YouTube or classic audio? Thankfully, you guys voted for classic audio. I like it better. A little bit more of the classic and creepy Dan Tom, and I'm more comfortable, I guess. Not having to show my mug, which is getting a little easier to do. Getting back in my fighting shape, if you will, and that's feeling great. With everything else going on, but yeah, I'm not gonna wax too much into personal stuff, but yeah, that's essentially, I guess, what's been going on with me. The rest of the shouts should come fairly organically in the recap of the event, so I'll just kind of table it for that, and we'll move on to Amazon shouts. Amazon shouts come from the website that hosts this here program, mixedmartialanalyst.com. That is my website that started and still hosts the Protect Your Neck podcasts. I put, and it was, when we didn't know as much as we do about, some companies, especially like, the Amazons and of the world, and supports the people who work there and their workers. I'm not hating or whatever, just wish the workers got treated a bit better. But I do have Amazon links on that website that I shamefully have not taken off yet, as well as some website called On It if you get anything from there. But they're affiliate links, so basically if you go to mixedmartialanalyst.com, look to the right or toggle to the right, you'll see click-through links, and you can click through those, and you just click once, and then you do your normal shopping, and with no extra cost, no extra hassle, no extra clicks, you just do your business, and a small percentage of whatever you purchase comes back to this here podcast. For the Amazon ones, not the On It, it will actually give me a list of what you bought. It won't tell me who you are, so get ready to take a shot for a David Carradine joke. If you wanted to be like David Carradine, who's David Carradine, Dan? Most of us are born in the 2000s or late 90s, and have your one night in Bangkok, buy the karate gi, some rope that's not too tough on the skin, some nunchucks, whatever vibrate nunchuck. I don't know what the kids do. Whatever you want to do, I won't know it's you. You can have at it. This is a safe space. I mean that. But maybe you won't be safe from me pontificating amongst your purchases, but we won't know it's you. That's the great part, right? That is the great part. Of course, if you don't want to have to buy anything, you go to mixedmartialanalyst.com. There's a secure PayPal link right there if you just want to donate to the show. Straight up. I don't really pitch that much because I'm not the best businessman, nor panhandler, nor anything in between. If it has to do with money, I'm terrible. Which is funny because I've worked for a bank. I've done cash out for major corporations because of my good skills with money. But yeah, as far as business side of money now for myself, yeah, I fucking drop the ball. The fuck was I going with that? But yeah, you can donate there. Also, at Dan Tom MMA, I have a link tree with all these links and stuff, including the secure donate to support, if you like, especially since my ass still hasn't gotten it together with and again, I'm never gonna put my main content, my bread and butter, behind a paywall kind of a deal, but maybe, people suggested, dude, I want to support you, so rather than randomly, hitting some PayPal donation link or whatever, I totally get that. And those are those of you out there, and I appreciate that. So for those reasons, maybe I'll start one up in the future and do bonus things. I know. It's just like the girl, waitressing at the cocktailing at the strip club. Honey, I'm not taking my clothes. I'm just cocktail. We know how it starts. Not shitting on sex work, by the way. It just seems like a very apropos example. And I live in Vegas, so what do you sue me? I'm sorry. It's okay. If I kept having any losing nights, I would be doing the male stripping like the Simpsons version. When Bart Simpson goes out, Bart Simpson. He's all washed up, yeah. All right, Dan. We don't need that visual. Let's go to purchases here. Somebody bought a USB-C to USB-A cable, 3.1 fast charging. Appreciate that purchase. Somebody bought 25th anniversary of Starship Troopers. Let me click on that. Oh, wow. That is fucking cool. Yeah, this is the original Starship Troopers when, woohoo! When you thought that song made you think of Michael Bisping, it made me think of the trailer for Starship Troopers, if you grew up in the 90s. And this is a really fucking cool, this is what I appreciate about good artwork. If you guys go to Amazon.com, type in Starship Troopers or 25th anniversary, I'm sure it'll pop up. It's a really cool, it's blue helmets with the skulls, and it's a yellow backdrop. Just really cool colors that really pop. Really good art. Shout out to that Boss Logic guy. It's the importance of having good art and cover pieces is so underrated. I'm not even the biggest Starship Troopers fan or whatever, and I want to go buy this, just because of that cover. That's effective marketing too, from a business point. So, we're artistic and business meld. That is beautiful stuff. I remember watching that, by the way, for the first time at sleeping over my buddy Lewis's house when we were kids, and then someone rented it, and his parents probably rented it, and we're like, oh yeah, rated R sci-fi, and horror, that's the that was the thing to do, at least for me as a kid. We just stay up and watch as much rated R sci-fi horror as we could. And I remember watching it and like just kind of calling out things like, oh, and now it's gonna hit him in the head and suck his brains out. And I was literally, I've never had that since, where I was literally calling things in a movie, and my friends thought I was trolling them. Like, you said you didn't see it, Dan. And I'm like, I didn't. They're like, bullshit. How did you know that happened? I'm sorry, I just couldn't keep my mouth shut. And I just thought it was gonna happen. I don't know. I'm getting lucky, and I literally guessed the whole thing, pretty much. You know, not that it's a crazy movie to guess the beats on, but you know, hey, you know, fucking 12-year-old Dan Tom over here. Wow, I was 12. That was some good quick math. That's right. 97 would be 25 years ago, right? In 97, I was 12. It's a good thing about being born in 85, because like 91, I was in first grade. 92, I was in second grade. It's easy. All right, Dan, stop moving on. Someone bought Heat. What was I just thinking of this movie? Oh, yeah. Somebody, I saw a meme from this movie with Al Pacino, where he's doing the binoculars, and he's looking down from the docks, and he's like, this crew's good. Hoo-ah, my dick's on fire. Sorry, that was from The Recruit. But yeah, I remember seeing a tweet when it was just like, and I so related to this because, again, when and not to harp the bad luck thing or whatever, but it's just it's a theme, if you will, and not just with the betting, but with food, especially. Like my family members, girlfriends, people who know me, like know this. It's almost just comical when my order gets wrong, because that's like the norm. So someone posted like a meme with Al Pacino on the dock saying this crew is good, and like the text was, when I go to Popeyes and only one thing is wrong in my order, like, this crew is good. I'm like, I can relate to that. Anyways, somebody bought this Tinky. That's what I call my dog. Tinky 2-pack cold brew coffee bag. 120 micro food grade. Ooh, I don't know if I have this one. I would remember that brand. But I think I have like my own cold brew coffee maker in my closet. I used to use it, and I've been like on hot coffee even in the summer now. Just hot coffee black, no matter time of year or time of day. I'm that guy now. Cool. Let me know how that works, whoever bought that. Everything Everywhere All at Once. My girlfriend actually bought it on her Amazon Prime account, and then my mom watched it, and she loved it, and she's like, you'd appreciate it more. You gotta be really stoned. And then she went into spoilers, as she does, and I had to stop her. I'm like, I haven't seen it yet, Mom. Stop. I know I'm a bad Asian. Speaking of which, like on my live chat, I always get like Chinese questions. I'm like, maybe, you know, maybe they're not bots. Maybe they're real people, because they're clicking through and buying Chinese movies. I love it, man. You know, maybe it was that stint of going on the xenophobic rants, anti-xenophobia, obviously I should say, rants, and I don't know if I'm getting all this Chinese attention now or something. I'm clicking the algorithm. Rambo 1 through 5, $13.99. That can't be right. Let me click on that. Wow. I mean, I don't know if this is like 4K or anything. It doesn't appear so, but yeah, DVD collection 1 through 5, Rambo. $13.90 minus 50. Oh, it looks like it's on sale on Amazon. Minus 53%. Okay. If you're a Rambo fan, does that include the creepy Rambo, where he was in Thailand, the one they were advertising when Chuck and Vanderlei were going to finally fight each other, and it was on the mats, and I remember I went to go see that with my guitar player, and it was just like, it had the creepy general, like, molestation scene, trigger warning, where it was like, I always remember this movie too. Like, chime in if you guys have seen that. I think it was like the 2007 Rambo. And it was just like, the general calls like randomly, like they're, you know, it's like the apex scene where they're gonna infiltrate the prisoners out. You know, the last action, the climax of the movie, right? And they like randomly wrote and like make room. It's one of my greatest writing mysteries. Like, if I could be in the writing room for like top 5 times you wish you could be in the writing room to see how the fuck they came up with this for this movie. Like, this would not only be on my list, folks, this would be my number 1. And it's that Rambo movie where the general, during the apex climax scene of the movie, he makes time to call like some young boy into his personal quarters. And you're like, wow, this is really dark. Like, the Rambo movie already set like a death toll, like not just for all Rambo movies, but like movies over time for like innocent blood killing, women, children, elderly. Like, there was some, spoiler alert, like death camp scenes right in that movie. And at the end, like, if that's not enough, like, they got this general who's, like, doing all this stuff. And, like, now he's got to, like, molest this, like, teenage boy. And me and my friend Sean were just like, what the fuck are they putting this scene in here for? Like, Jesus Christ. And we're like, oh, I know. Easy. They're just trying to get us. They're trying to get us worried. It's the classic scene where the hero comes and saves the day. He saves the day anytime now. Starts taking out the boys. Anytime now, Rambo. Spoiler alert, Rambo never comes. And, like, they smash cut to, like, this teenage boy, like, just kind of, like, hobbling out of the general's quarters. And, like, the general's having his post-coital cigarette. And then, of course, Rambo shows up and, like, fucks him up. And I'm like, you let the guy fuck the kid have the post-coital cigarette? Like, this is Hollywood, guy. Like, couldn't we have written in? I don't know. Like, the classic scene. Like, why did Rambo have to show up late for that? And then, of course, at the end of the movie, it's like writing credits written by Sylvester Stallone. I'm like, go figure. That makes perfect fucking sense. This was written by Stallone. You imagine going back in that writing room? They're just like, Sly? Yeah. Oh, we got one question on the script here. What is it? Yeah, everything wraps up pretty nice in this last climactic action scene. It's pretty sweet, right? Yeah, it's sweet. The general. Yeah, it's the general. What about it? The scene. What exactly is he doing with this boy? The general's a bad guy. Well, I don't think anybody's disputing that, Sly. In fact, we could argue we've established that after the multiple killings. Do we really need him to sodomize this child? I just say, what, you say the general's not a bad guy? Like, no, Sly, relax. I'm saying I get it. He's a bad guy. We're on the same page. Just maybe we could cut the sodomy out. Whoa, wait. Who's the head writer on this project? Sylvester Stallone. Who's Sylvester Stallone? You are? That's right. Sodomy stays. It's a compelling argument, Sly. That's why we have you aboard. Like, what the fuck, you know? Like, I was even watching, like, Rocky, because I was like, oh, you haven't seen the original Rocky, to my girlfriend? I'm like, oh, this will be fun, you know? And as we're watching, I'm realizing, I'm like, oof. And by the way, another movie penned by Sylvester Stallone. There's these weird, there's just weird things in them all the time. And we're watching, and at a certain point, I'm realizing, A, this doesn't age well, and B, I don't think I've rewatched this movie, Rocky, since I was a child. Like, I went back to watch the training scenes. But how many of you on the other side of this microphone, when's the last time, ask yourself, big Rocky fans out there, and I'm not shitting on Rocky, I'm not trying to get Rocky canceled, I'm just saying, when's the last time you watched Rocky? Because go back and watch it. I'm watching it with my girlfriend, and she's like, this is the sympathetic character? So far, he's just a creep that won't leave this girl alone, and whose her brother's already some creepy sexual deviant. They're just a bunch of creeps. And you watch it, and you're just like, wow. I'm pretty sure Rocky is I'm pretty sure, Mick touched Rocky when he was young and he didn't know how to deal with it, and he's just sexually awkward and never, like, grew up, and that was the tension between Mick. I know, Dan Tom, you got to perverse. I know I'm doing my normal Dan Tom thing here where I have to ruin classics of yours and pervert them, but honestly, go back and watch it. It's kind of the subtext. Like, you go, and there's not even subtext. Like, he's just an outright creep in scenes. You're like, wait, this is the hero? Wow, Dan, really, half your recap's going to be a Rocky tangent. All right, somebody bought Forte Flora Purina dog probiotics. I probably should look into that with my own dog. Someone bought Turtle Beach Recon Xbox controller. Oh, Xbox. I don't have an Xbox. I have PlayStation, and I'm still trying to get rid of the freaking the Bing search marquee virus on my Mac right now whilst doing all this stuff. And not only has my internet connection not worked from my PlayStation Network account, which is a common thing I guess I've read. Dude, now it won't even let me go on my network, PlayStation Network, to, like, buy games, which I could do. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, goddamn, I got some old PS4, I think, but still, I don't know. What the fuck? Anyone else having that issue? All right, that's it for the Amazon reads. Apologies for that. Let's get to the recap, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Time 20 minutes. Jesus, Dan. Rocky molestation stories. All right. On that note, UFC 277 recap. All right, we went 10-3 in picks overall. 1-0 in the parlay. The lone and not the lone, but the main parlay. We 1-1 in straight plays. 0-2 in props. 0-2 in round flyers, which were a variation of one of the props I took, and it was only in one house, but still, I account for it. 0-1 in fight night ads, which was only one of those, and 0-1 in long shot parlay, which, it's like, if I add that, should I add the fact that I always tell you guys that I always do whatever, parlay my main card picks for like $5 or $10, because it's along those lines. It's barely ever going to hit, but it's something that I kind of will do, and at least I do post the long shot one, so I'm going to obviously account for it, even though those will never hit at a low percentage or high percentage, unless you're really lucky, and I am not. Plus, just over a half a unit, probably would have gotten close to a unit profit if I didn't give 0.33 units back. So I still profited because, again, a lot of those round flyers, props and stuff were for small amounts. I know I'm really, again, I'm really bad at math. For just being, good at numbers and certain things. As far as like basic shit, I always fuck up and forget to put zeros in certain decimal points. So maybe it could read wrong. Like I realized I think I put 0.4 instead of 0.04. So people could still technically read that as 0.40, which it wasn't. It was only like $4 for those round flyers, those two of them. So it was only $8 total that I lost out on. Between all my houses, right? So, because it was only at one house. So, So, I mean, that's how it still profits. But again, not much. But that's kind of how I do it, right? That's kind of how I normally played it. Don't play much. Play disciplined. And hey, I've done that before and still eating shit. Who am I kidding? So, I'm not going to do that revisionist history crap where just because I had a winning night, let's see, this is what you do. This is what it's all about. And it's just like, well, even if I'm saying stuff that technically isn't true or maybe y'all would agree with at a high clip, we all know that stuff doesn't matter in this game. Even someone like me who stresses showing the work, putting the work in, it takes a lot of luck and good beats to go with it, man. That is a part of the game. So if you didn't do well, hopefully y'all can bounce back. Not like me, because even though I had a winning night, it's not a bounce back night. I could have won all my bets, and it's still not a bounce back night. I've got a lot of bouncing back to do. So no victory laps. No, not feeling too high off it, but I'll take it, and I'll be damn grateful for it though. But yeah, no bragging here. From the top, Amanda Nunes defeated Juliana Pena via unanimous decision. It looks like what did they give for the Crosby went 50-43, D'Amato went 50-44, Montalvo 50-45. I think most of the media scores I think went 50 some brand of 50-44, 50-43. I think at least in MMA decisions, and not to single them out, but hey, these guys are the guys that do most of the criteria. So criteria stuff for the media amongst my colleagues. So credit where credit's due: Scott Fontana, Dan Urban, Sean Sheehan, all outside of my guy Aaron Bronstetter as well, Jay Petrie. I know Aaron was covering live, so again, when people are covering live, they usually aren't scoring. They usually have and should have more important duties. So I do wonder, with that, referencing that in mind, and again, I went back to rewatch some of the co-main event and then most of the main event from like round 2 on. And my initial thought was, I'm like, okay, I think at least 2 10-8s in there, and I ended up being not right because it's all subjective, but at least consistent with my initial opinion when I went back to watch. And I think it's, again, I would like to move toward, and I would think that we are moving toward, 10-8s being back. So I would like to see those more liberally used again. Just from, not even from my normal contrarian standpoint of, scoring stuff like more of the other striking analysts do in the community, where they actually will use the 10-8s and 10-7s and tools that even criteria guys who I think were on the same page of that note, as for maybe not how they adjudicate it, but in spirit. Like, because I know Scott Fontana, who I'm going to shout here probably multiple times on this episode. I know that's been a big thing for one of his biggest proponents as far as common threads. At the end of the day, is kind of a deal for change slash criticisms. More tools, the better. I think that's one that we can all agree on. So from that standpoint, yeah, I would like to see it used more. But watching back, there are some things that are defensible. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I hope does get mentioned, because again, the reason why I mentioned I'm not a big, props to the person who does MMA decisions, by the way. It's not shitting on them. It's like when I say I'm not a big stats guy, I don't mean to shit on like the Richard Manns of the world, the guys who, are busting their ass, the legit statisticians, and are busting their ass to provide us numbers. Say what you will, as I say a lot, right, about stats, but it's important. We should still have these things. Yes, do I think certain things are incorrect? And yes, do I mainly my main issue of people using them incorrectly with their arguments? Of course, because that's how people do it. I was joking with the Khabib thing where it was like telling Khabib fans that an impressive record is different than an influential legacy is like the most difficult thing to do. And I didn't even bother listening to the Khabib fans that I pissed off. I just muted them because it doesn't matter what the argument, what the context. Khabib fans will paste that 29-0 or 29-1, right? T-Bow, or 28-1, whatever it is to T-Bow. But no, just kidding. They'll post as whatever an O record, right, on a shield, and they'll run headfirst into whatever argument. Doesn't matter what the argument's about. And they're like, no, but I've got undefeated. And they just run in. It's because my numbers are just very easy to misuse, right? And I'm not picking on Khabib. I like Khabib, or Khabib's fighting style and this and that. That's the ironic part of me kind of taking shots all the time. It's more just the fanboys, and not fans of his. There's a lot of fans of his that are like legit some of my favorite people in this space. So I'm not shitting on them. But yeah, that's just an easy. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked on the numbers thing. But yeah, numbers are just kind of, misused and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not trying to shit on, the MMA decisions. That's how I got on the stats. That's how I got on that argument. But yeah, I'm not trying to shit on people who are putting together these websites and doing this legwork. It's really important. And in fact, we should appreciate those people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you got to remember that everybody submitting it is, almost anybody can submit to it, and obviously I'm sure he's got some kind of, what do you call, checks and balances. But I'll see, and I'm not trying to throw shade or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, I'll see like people who aren't media and are more on the betting side, and that's not throwing shade. You could ask these people themselves, and they'll throw scores up there, and it's like you got to wonder, I'm like, well, did that person bet on that fight? Or whatever, and so I just try to go by more of the consistent media names. But that being said, just because media, just because they're familiar with criteria, they're human beings at the end of the day, just like these judges, and they're not infallible, and they're definitely not beyond susceptibility. I'm making up words here, to influence, right? They're not beyond being susceptible to influence. So that's why I bring up the broadcasting, because, and I'm not trying to pile on commentary, although, boy, even amongst people who regularly crap on the DC Rogan pairing, I think really, even this would be in their top 3, not just top 5, as far as, not the greatest nights for these guys, right? But the commentary was so, and I get it. I get what's going on, and people are like, well, I don't get it. And I get criticizing it, but and you're fair to criticize it. You're probably right for criticizing it. But in, I guess, not complete defense. Obviously, I'm not defending. I'm not completely defending here. But in defense, there is this thing that happens where, especially when you're supposed to be unbiased, and unbiased sometimes gets confused for balance. And balance, it's good to be balanced and have balance as some type of prerequisite for many things, most things, if not, right, in life. But being unbiased, an unbiased commentator, an unbiased analyst, that doesn't necessarily mean balance. It's not necessarily the same thing. Not that balance is bad, right, again. But balance gets thrown in there as far as association and as far as inclination and nature, because you don't want to just shit on somebody, especially they're bleeding, they're getting shit on, they're probably losing their title. It's not. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it's the job. I'm just explaining to you what it is. It's again, what Dan Tom's going to be one of the few podcasts that actually talk and account for human nature. Yes. So which I'll round to and how that equates to the scores and why I feel like 50-45s are defensible. And I'm actually surprised I didn't see more, even though I didn't score it that way. I'm just saying, just because we don't agree doesn't mean we can't come to understand what's going on better. That's more important than agreeing or this or that, especially on something that's just so subjective like this shit. There's no right, it's more just right side, and we're essentially splitting hairs here. But yes, you're not beyond being influenced. So a lot of times when a fighter's doing really bad, you'll see commentators try to make up, and that's where this is why toughness is so much value, and why it's kind of one of my pet peeves, is because not only when this happens, you end up getting dishonest commentary, even though in their head they're trying to be fair, balanced, kind. All these things that by themselves are okay, commendable, fine, I get it. All those things by themselves. But with this snowball effect of human nature, as it is, you tend to kind of want to, make up, and that's fine. And there are ways to go about it. But what often happens is you end up just talking about the person's toughness, because unless, their mistakes and things you can criticize them for lead to them getting finished, well, the fight's going to continue to go on, or the fight's going to continue to go on. Well, the commentators have to say something, right? So in their defense, partially, I want to throw that out there. But when that happens, what do you get? You get kind of dishonest commentary. You get a bit of overblown moments of success, right? From the Tyler Santos versus Valentina Shevchenko, right? How that kind of got overblown. So you have the dominant champion. Tim Elliott, Demetrius Johnson was a classic one. You go back and it's really just Tim Elliott having a decent round one. But because it was so unexpected, it set a tone and put a color and a tinge on the rest of the fight, because we weren't expecting it. So everything else was overblown, right? And DJ was on a crazy run then. Whereas this fight, it was even more so, because even though Pena wasn't having the unexpected success, she already had that moment. So we knew it was possible. And we've seen it before in Amanda Nunes' career, and we know that, the pressure, albeit, it's stupid and unrefined or whatever mean descriptors you want to attach to it, we knew that was the key at the end of the day. So there was a bit of that excitement, and I felt it too. I'm no better, by the way. I was getting caught up in it too, because I had a small bet on Pena, right? Only a quarter unit of exposure at first for my TKO flyer via the long shot of the Action Network. And then with a good night, I added inside the distance at 0.33 units to bring it just over a half unit. But yeah, it wasn't a big bet, but that was more than enough to get me invested, right? And with the commentary, I'm like, oh, wow, maybe Pena did rock her. Which, by the way, it looked like she might have in round 4. And that's also the round where Pena had her closest sub-attempt. So I know people were calling for that for a 10-8. But between those two things alone, I wouldn't get mad, and even though she didn't have a close sub attempt or have the moment where it appears that she rocked Nunes on the feet in round 4, in round 3, when she was taken down, she was really active with throwing up submissions, even though, and watching it back at first, I'm like, what? Pena only got credited with 1 submission attempt from Fight Metric. But I went back and watched it, and I'm like, you know what? They actually were correct with that. They were correct in the submission attempts. That being said, she still was thrown, as far as if they're going to, I always talk about it, we need to have metrics, and perhaps they're going by an attempt would be considered what a submission catch would be if we were doing like a Naga Grappler's Quest type of deal, right? Totally fine with that. And that actually was pretty consistent with the way they track those stats. But yes, she was making, although maybe not enough to be gradient for that type of attempt, but she was making offensive attempts that were getting stymied before they could even get close, granted, but still, she was making attempts, fighting, elbowing. You want to count that enough to maybe not go 10-8 round 3. I don't blame you. Round 5, I still feel like was a 10-8 live. I felt like it was a 10-8 there. Obviously, round 2 with the 3 knockdowns. I feel like if Pena didn't recover as well as she did and no sell it as well as she did, we'll get to Drakkar Klose as well, by the way, another fighter who just really not complete opposite on the activity scale. You could argue he's not active enough, which is why his fights are close. But the reason why he consistently can take decisions even when he doesn't arguably win, like the Bobby Green fight, and I'm already getting into Drakkar Klose right now, it's because how he sells it. And I mean, there's not many, and I bring that back to Pena round 2 here because there's not many fighters, I think, regardless of what trend the judges are on. And two out of the 3 went 10-8 there. So, I mean, it's not like no one did or anything like that. The majority of them did. But I almost, I don't know. Like, I think it was a clear 10-8. Montalvo went 10-9. But, Montalvo, and by the way, Montalvo solid, however you want to put it, mid-tier UFC, solid regional ref, solid overall mid-tier ref. I agree with that assessment. But the reason why he's solid, but I'm not putting him in more the upper, like Jason Herzog level, because not just because we mainly see him stick to Texas, or because he has to split double duties with judging and reffing, and I don't like that Texas does that, so I try to cut the official slack that are put in that position, which he is one of them. But I will say this, and again, it's not as bad, but Montalvo here, maybe it's because I'm pretty sure he runs a jiu-jitsu school. He's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. Probably fought himself a bit, but he maybe for those reasons he reminds me of like the Texas Mario Yamasaki, the Mexican Mario Yamasaki. Because Montalvo, he's pretty solid. Like you don't see him making too atrocious of calls. But I will tell you one thing: you never see him do. Stop shit early. You never see him do that. That's a good thing especially for a lot of fighters out there. They'll want that type of referee. They'll want Montalvo. But he seems to have a real high appetite for violence. And I bring that up because maybe you could say that contributes to the way he views scoring, right? Like, he's just like, not a 10-8 for me. I didn't see enough fucking guts come out, Like, he's got the Kumite, he's got the Kumite tolerance over there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, round 2 to me was a clear 10-8, and I feel like if she was wobbly and stuff and coming out of it, and you had the wobbling, she's chasing her around, I think you even go 10-7 there because again, 10-7, and that's what I didn't like about the latest infographic that an athletic commission released in good faith. Well-meaning. I appreciate them doing this. I, too, am a better visual learner. Some people do better with that than I agree with all those things, folks. But again, even amongst the quote-unquote criteria nerds and my colleagues who, by the way, shouts to my colleagues that are further educating themselves. Honestly, it's great. I hear this courses are coming to Vegas. If they do and it's feasible, I'm definitely going to be looking to do them myself. Though I will say to all my colleagues, whether you've done those courses or considering them or not, I still would consider everybody, if they haven't already, if they haven't in a while, go get some martial arts education, man. I tell you, the education I've gotten on the mats through the years is why I am where I am. I know what I know. It's good as well. So I would just throw that out there. But yes, sorry, I wasn't gonna say that. I was getting fucking sidetracked. And I'm not throwing shade by that. I'm just saying what everybody's saying who's going to these things are absolutely correct. And that's why I commend them, and that's why I want to further it myself. But that's what I was saying. But even amongst, again, this is why I kind of get peevy, because I don't have the ego. I don't care. I don't need fucking credit to be in a judge group. I don't give a shit about that. I'm just passionate about the sport that I compete, participate, all those things, right? And one thing that even my colleagues weren't bringing up, again, one of the, with that infographic was the 10-7, which is the most, their 10-7 and 10-8 language sounded exact with the way that infographic made it, which was terrible. And the main defining attribute, arguably, of the 10-7 is that when a fight warrants a stoppage, when it warranted a stoppage, The common sense thing for the 10-8 and 10-9 is, how can we call this round a 10-9 if this round is also a 10-9, right? For the common sense part, right? And then, of course, there's a whole criteria part explaining it. But what sets the criteria, is, I believe, further apart with the 10-7 and 10-8 is you have to have that note in there, which the commission themselves did not put that in. And but yeah, that so I you know yeah, I would have gone 50-43 would have been my scorecard. And again, that's no shade to 50-44s. That's definitely no shade to 50-45s, especially the fact that, it was all three people who, arguably do the most work amongst amongst us media. So and by the way, shouts to their podcast, Severe MMA podcast, Couchside Judges podcast. I'm sure they will go. They're much more consistent about going into round scoring than this podcast, and this is the only one I'm probably really going to do it for. Although there's a lot on the undercard, which I'll get to as well. Again, like I said, I actually am friends with one of the judges from there. We'll get to those. But yeah, there was that fight. So sorry, too much scoring talk. But yeah, she was fucking her up from a southpaw stance. Who saw that coming, right? I mean, this is another reason WMMA. It's like WMMA is so hard to bet and just so hard to get your head around as an. I mean, we saw analysts who don't bet, just like they were bettors. Like I'm done trying to guess WMMA. Of course, a fighter of any sex, right, late into their career can just come out and fight from another stance. Now, obviously, Juliana Pena, not the technical mastermind to really push or test the defense of a southpaw stance, which, I know Rick Little gets a lot of crap, and, maybe not the best advice to fight a southpaw for sure, but I will say it's like, who saw that coming, right? And you saw him having to quickly pivot, and he's like, you know how to fight a southpaw. Remember Valentina. And I'm just like doing the math. I'm like, dude, that was over half a decade ago. That was January 2017. She's had a kid. She's had retirements and no camps for South. Well, maybe Montano was a southpaw, but yeah, like clearly not a southpaw prep. And like my guy Connor Rebush said, if one weird trick can win you the title, a dipping jab, well, another weird trick can taketh away. But, to Nunes's credit, even though we couldn't see the defense tested, which that was kind of the spirit of Rick Little's message, which I didn't agree with. I didn't disagree with the spirit of his message as far as, hey, the bright side of her going, I know she's tagging you southpaw, but essentially the bright side is her defense isn't going to be as good if you want to shoot on her. Now, the stutter steps to straight shots into the clinch, maybe not the best. I'll tell you this, as a southpaw who loves checking people with my lead right hand, I'm like, oh, please either stutter or overextend, one of the two, Don't feint jab and take angles off of your straight shots or anything like that now, because everybody forgets that they can jab against southpaws. And I know my guy Connor always, and I agree with him, he keeps shouting that to the skies, but I'm kind of glad that, like, these fighters aren't listening, because, like, I'm like, when I hear that, I'm like, shh, don't give it away, man. That's the southpaw advantage, And sometimes fighters will go southpaw just to buy time to breathe, which originally I thought was Nunes's plan, which was just, which is still smart and a great add-on to what she was doing, where, some fighters will switch southpaw just to bullshit you. They just want to breathe, We'll talk about Rafael Alves. He does a lot of, maybe not so much switching, but he just does a lot of stuff that's just fluff to go, look what I'm doing. And, smarter corners and Dobrich corners amongst that will pick up on it and yell, he's just buying time, go! He's not showing you anything. Don't buy what he's selling. It's bullshit, But it wasn't bullshit, because when Pena would come forward, Nunes had the step, she'd have the check right hook counter. She'd have kind of a sloppy left hand where actually, even the one where she dropped Pena with, look, she actually got connected because she kind of crossed up her punches on it. But after that, she would step back with her right and step into her home orthodox stance, which gives her a loaded right hand counter. Very smart. She would do the Dustin Poirier thing where she would kind of, when she wasn't lead parrying Pena's prodding jabs and she was wanting to come forward herself, she would kind of prod a lead right hand to step through with her left, and hence loading a right, her prime weapon again from her home stance. So she had clear work done, So you got to give her credit for that. And again, it's just, again, I don't want to harp or complain when that, especially since I got out by the skin of my teeth. Granted, with a winning night, but yeah, of course, this is going to happen when I bet a women's fight, and then Nunes. It's just like I'll definitely give her the credit as the female GOAT. I really don't care about that. If you guys want to know I think a more interesting question that was floating around was like, who is your favorite female fighter? I think I saw Jack Slack ask that. He said, Loma Look Boom Me. I like Loma Look Boom Me. I'm a big fan of her too. But, mine is Marloes Kunin still to this day. She's just I love me some Marloes, man. She's a baddie in all the best ways. And yeah, I've never really been a big Amanda Nunes fan. That's been no secret, But yeah, you got to give her credit where credit's due, and and whatnot. But yeah, I used to really just because I love that Kat Zingano. I don't even think I bet Kat Zingano. I may have. I don't know. I was very excited, but I remember just wanting to be on the right side. Took a couple shots with Valentina and others, and then I'm like, okay, she went on our GOAT run, and I kind of just left it alone and forgot about it. And then I was mad. I'm like, oh, I missed my chance to be on the wrong side of it. Maybe I got caught up in that excitement backing someone like Juliana Pena. Oh, Jesus. I can't, not trying to shit on her. Poor girl. Hopefully she heals okay. But like, oh my gosh. Thankfully it was only a small shot. I knew better than to have any serious exposure on this sort of a fight. Not rubbing it in if you did, by the way. I'm just saying for me and my style. At least I did know better than that for what it's worth. Brandon Moreno defeated Kaikara France. I had a really good analysis of this one, I must say. I went to rewatch this one this morning. I saw people complaining. That's the thing. It's like there's legitimate complaints and scoring complaints on this card, I'm sure. Again, go listen to Couch Side Judges, TSN MMA show, Severe MMA Pod for more consistent scoring talk. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I feel like you could make arguments both sides, and that's the ultimate thing about the way we score fights and the subjectivity inherently involved in it. Is that you can really make these arguments, right? Either side on some of these rounds, I forget, was it the first or the second, but Kaikara France, first round, he's got good leg kicks to start. Toward the middle back half, he lands a really good right hand that's arguably the best punch of the round, right? Best, cleanest and hardest punch of the round. If a judge wants to focus on that, I don't blame them. And again, giving credit where credit's due, as far as even though I don't agree with the 10-9s, I complain that grappling isn't given enough credit. So, the only justification, at least I can garner for the 10-9 is, okay, they're giving Juliana Pena credit for staying active as hell off her back. Isn't that something we want? You know what I'm saying? Or leg kicks, again, leg kicks or body strikes. If that's the argument, that's what it looks like, the only feasible argument. How can I give a judge crap for that when I'm, one of the lead voices saying, hey, we don't value this enough. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if they wanted to judge his leg kicks on the right hand, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with someone that gave Kai both those first rounds. He was piecing up Moreno until getting caught. Krause smartly called for the body. And again, it's something I called in all my analysis. It's that lead body kick. It's that left hook. And I probably called for it when I broke down their fight back at UFC 245, because you saw it with Paiva. It was the same thing that hurt Paiva, that same extended combinations, counters, and off the extended combination, attaching that lead body kick. It hurt Kai multiple times. And again, a lot of people thought Kai lost that fight. And again, go back to controversial scorecards, right? Or outcomes even with the scorecards. And if the fighter you thought won and was not credited with it, chances are they went to the body more, or the legs more, or both more, right? And that was the case with Holly and Paiva. Hell, we'll get to it soon, but there was a scorecard for Kim, and people were like, how the hell can you give Kim the first round? Initial watch, I agree with that take, right? How can you give her the first round? I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I did go back and peek at the stats. And Jocelyn Edwards, again, numbers don't tell the story, but she did almost double her up and landed significant strikes, hence the opinion, the large opinion, majority opinion of Edwards won that round. But if you look at it, she also doubled her up in strikes to the body, Edwards did. So, again, the fighter you thought won was going to the body more. So congrats to you for having a good eye, but also understand, and God forbid give my fucking argument that I've been saying one of the only people consistently, whilst consistently fight to fight card, having constant reminders of it on how it's undervalued, and cards like this, or the Glover Yuri card, remember that card as well, where it was just bodywork brutality throughout the whole fucking card, you know? So I know nobody cares, and no one will give me credit for that. Although I will, the Sean Sheehans of the world and other people, the couch side judges, they've actually given me credit for the bodywork talk. But I'm just saying in general, like this is not a topic we hear talked about. But look how important it is, both in victories and as well as the gradients and the gradient defeat, the way we grade fights, right? So yeah, but body work is always something to look at there, and I'm not saying this shit for no reason. I'm not getting proven right, at least from an anecdotal with hard facts to point to in conjunction from a week-to-week standpoint for nothing. Sergey, but yeah, he and Kaikara France also dips, crouches, and fades circles, all of the 3 to 4 that I just listed. Majority of the time he goes right, and he goes right hard. So a guy who punctuates off his left side from left hook to left kicks, just stylistic kryptonite Moreno, plus the size bullying and durability bullying. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should have went hard on Moreno there in hindsight, but I don't know. I've been just kind of scared off a lot of my reads, to be honest, because I'm in my head. Same here again. Called another Derek Lewis fight, down to the round. Pavlovich defeated Derek Lewis, round 1 punches. I don't have an issue. I think because it's Derek Lewis / people bet on Derek Lewis, it becomes more of an issue for the stoppage. I don't think people give it as much credit or credence. I will say the parallel though that it does come closest to is Sabah Hamasi versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. It was a similar exchange, except Al Hassan was both or Hamasi, I should say, was both close enough and had the wherewithal to immediately shoot for a single. So you couldn't tell him, like, did he face plant or did he shoot for a single? It was so close. And re-wrestling, even if it's going to be inevitable, if they're with it enough to re-wrestle and willing enough to re-wrestle, then I'm on the side of not getting pissed off about it. But yes, I'm on the side of you could have let it gone a little longer. Derek Lewis did look like he wanted to and tried to, but was too far away. And ultimately, he did faceplant. And whenever someone faceplants, goes limp, even if they bounce back to life, that body language alone, especially with big boys mid-swinging and bagging, especially because Derek Lewis was already hurt and landed cleanly on multiple occasions, even at that point in the first round, I do not blame the referee at all for that stoppage. Picking bias aside, because there was no bet on that. Pavlovich inside the distance was in a long shot parlay, but that already got shot down, and it wouldn't have closed anyways with the way the main event went. So no betting bias whatsoever there. Alexandria Pantoja defeated Alex Perez. This was tough because I love both guys. I was going to be sad either way here, to be honest, folks, even if I won the bet. Because, again, I'm a huge Pantoja fan. I've been a huge Pantoja fan, defender of this guy. I never picked against these guys. You know what it is, man? When I finally pick against guys I never pick against, you know what? I do it in the MMA betting fashion that, like, so many MMA bettors base their game against. So, like, old guy, he's mileage, or whatever, like these typical fucking reasons, right? And I'm not shitting on it because most of y'all do it and you end up profitable more often than time. So I'm not shitting on you guys. When I shit on these gambling trends, I'm not. Don't take it personally, folks. If you're just like always betting the unders or the fight doesn't go the distance or the whatever, I'm not shitting on you guys. These are gambling trends for a reason, whether we like it or not, right? Within context. What I'm shitting on is I hate it because, again, just like the way the beats are so fucking a part of the gambling game, So are these trends, right? And of course, the beats don't go my way. Well, neither do the trends. Stephen Thompson, guy I never picked against. Vicente Luque faced. I got this feeling, okay, I think this is the time. And then, of course, it's like fucking Stephen Thompson puts on one of his last master classes of his career, right? And then that almost makes me overcorrect the steering wheel back into my Stephen Thompson fandom, and then I'm on the wrong side of the old guy, because sure enough, after that fight, I think maybe there was the Jeff Neal fight that he gets off the skin of his teeth, but essentially, after the fight, we've seen the wheels finally fall off Stephen Thompson, right? And here I am with my dick in the wind, backing the veteran when no one else is. Oh, Dan Tom, what are you doing to yourself, right? Fucking classic. And of course, God forbid, I'm just, Rudolph here, trying to play the reindeer games. Hey, I can fade an old guy too, right? I know Pantoja's not that old, especially compared to Perez, but you get what I'm saying here, the spirit. And I'm like, maybe this is time to fall off. And then, of course, no, fucking insta-wrong at the expense of Alex Perez, who's a much better fighter than he was getting credit for. I mean, like some of the best analysts who you asked me who the best analysts, but Ed Gallo, Ryan Wags, of course, those guys know what's up and give Alex Perez credit for his skills and potential, but fortunately for Perez, he played into the what I would call unfair analysis at the very least, and a lot of that is maybe people not doing the work, and you just see all the cancellations, and that becomes the narrative of their breakdown. But he was just taking strays voluntarily, involuntarily, or not all week long. Alex Perez was, and it was one of those things where it's like, man, bet aside, I could be on the other side and still be a Pantoja fan and have my money there. Part of me would have still been rooting for Alex Perez here, just because he was just catching so much strays, been through so much shit. Everybody talks about the TKO loss. No one ever mentions the headbutt, even though Joe B himself acknowledged it right after on live air, but nobody ever mentions that shit. Nobody mentions the cage grab. I had a thought that, on paper, which is why the opener opened the way it did, and they were right, by the way. So were you if you backed Pantoja. Congratulations. Hopefully you did so by a sub. That was the way to do it, man. Some nice plus money there. Happy for y'all. Don't get it twisted. Happy for Pantoja. But the fact that Perez didn't even get the fight, and he just gets insta sub, and now it's just he's gonna get shit. Hopefully that means we get a good line, and because he's definitely gonna get a step down. I mean, how can he not? He literally faced the two best dudes in the division, Pantoja and Figueiredo. No offense to Moreno, but we see what happened with Pantoja. Despite what Rogan was saying, like, Jesus, if anybody can be accused of being a Figgy hater, especially at times, it's your boy here, right? Me. But I was right there with you Figgy fans, man. Not that I'm not a fan of Figgy. I think he's an amazing fighter. I watch every time and just pick up amazing things he does. Again, it's not just like with Khabib. It's the fans. It's like, okay, are we a fan of this guy, or are we trying to suck his dick? What is it, folks? And again, nothing wrong with, trying to suck another dude's dick, even if you're a dude. Fucking, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, from the way we're talking about it, like, are we picking him? Are we playing him? Are we a fan of him? Or are we trying to suck his dick? When those lines are blurred, like, we need to fucking just take it easy, folks. Take it easy. That's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with the dick sucking. Just like, fucking take it easy, all right? And I'm a big fan of Moreno, and I picked him, and I picked him more often than not in the series than I did Figueiredo. Although I did pick Figueiredo as well in the series. Listen, Figgy is the real champ, and he was getting disrespected by Rogan, the broadcast, the narratives. That bummed me out. That was gross. Rogan saying this was a really controversial fight when Figgy was right there. I mean, no, it wasn't controversial. The only thing controversial was, what is it, 48, 47 Figueiredo, or was it 49, 46? Like, that was the biggest question. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was not, we've had so many more controversial decisions. Their first fight was more of a controversial decision. It probably should have been a Figgy win, and I was consistent with that again. I know I get accused of being a Figgy hater, but I've defended him in these spots, and I'll defend Figgy again. That was just gross. So, I want to, I'm with those of you saying, let's just do Pantoja, Figueiredo. And I hope Pantoja at least has enough to get to the title now, and he's like Brazilian, he's like flyweight Glover. He deserves it. It's just, Figueiredo, man, that's the tough matchup for him if he can make that weight. Although the older Figueiredo gets, it's also better as well, because the guy's bound for bantamweight, man. I just want to see him fight Peter Yan still. Anyways, we'll see how that all shakes out. I hope Perez can bounce back and show people what's up, and we get a good number on them, and you just fucking tell everybody to eat shit after that, because the guy's that'd be my attitude if I was Alex Perez, after having to deal with all this shit, and I gotta fucking fight, the beast Pantoja after that. Dagestani Stipe Magomed Ankalaev defeated Anthony Smith. Man, I was really rooting for everybody who had an Anthony Smith ticket here, and my hearts are out to them because I know what it's like to lose a fight by injury. Now, don't get me wrong, Anthony Smith wasn't doing great up until that point. It wasn't like he was winning the fight, at least, right? And he was probably going to lose that fight. Who are we kidding, right? That's why I picked him. But, I picked Anthony Smith and Toutmaster for a reason. I was rooting for people who bet Anthony Smith and not calling them crazy for a reason, because they weren't. Especially at those odds. Ankalaev, especially if he decides to fight safe, it is going to cost him. At the higher divisions, fighting safe is safe until it's not. And Ankalaev was asking for it with the way he last fought, but that's not always how he has fought. And if you're aggressive, sometimes you can bring out the best in him. That's what I was reminded of watching the tape. I was really high on Ankalaev. I don't know if I'm like, the guy's on his nuts saying he's going to be a title challenger, because his fights with Krylov and Santos kind of dampened that for me personally. But I went back to remember why I was high on him back when he first came in the division for a first place. And it's just too bad because we couldn't see either guy get to make their case, right? And they both wanted to in that matchup. The way it was going to give us an answer, but I thought Anthony Smith fell funny, and sure enough he did. Sat in his turtle position for way too long, plus the injury. Good stoppage. Could have probably been stopped earlier, sure, even. Yeah. I didn't post this because it's like kind of like the things where you guys, I always post I always like put like $5 or whatever on my main card picks, kind of a deal. I actually did put a small free play on Anthony Smith in one house. It was like, I think it was like $6 or whatever the free play was left over for like a plus 3,300 round 3 prop at like literally one house. So I did that last minute, didn't post it. But, and I'm not going to cry about it here, but I will say, even though I technically picked Ankalaev, between that free play and putting Anthony Smith and Toutmaster, one could say the injury streak I've still been on the wrong side of. And I didn't have a bet on this. Even though I picked Ankalaev, I didn't have a bet on him. Well, outside of my main card picks, so I guess he was in that. So yeah, I don't know. Off technicality, you could say, but I'm definitely not going to cry about it. Instead, extend my sympathies to those whose tickets it actually did affect, because I know how that feels, and that's shitty, man. Alex Moreno defeated Matthew Semmelsberger, Fantasy Jewish Fight League, Sunday, swinging on Shabbos. Sorry. Shout out to @Chronic Combat, FJFL shout, man. That was so cool. See my guys Tyler and Greg. I believe their guest host Brad was on there. And yeah, man, they gave a Fantasy Jewish Fight League shout out for Semmelsberger, which I love, man. I love hearing that on other shows. I was nervous because a lot of my friends in the community were on Semi the Jedi, and Semi just seems like a cool dude. So I was like, oh, fuck, man. Well, at least if I lose this, the silver lining is my friends will have cash, which seems to be the same song. I guess it went for me this time. Not as far as like, I guess like I finally got a good beat. Like, no. No, in fact, I almost was on the wrong end of a bad beat because Semmelsberger almost fucking late Masvidal ass-grinned him in round 3. But no, aside from that scary beginning to round 3, and scary round 3 overall, I guess you could say, Moreno cleanly took the first 2 rounds. Drew Dober, so that was nice. To secure profit, especially after this came through. The second leg, we'll get to the first leg as we move down. Drew Dober defeated Rafael Alves, hook to the body. Yeah, man, you got Dober at a discount, and I'm not going to be hindsight, because even though I picked Dober and made money on this, I didn't make money betting straight up Dober. I bet the fight didn't go the distance. I actually parlayed the under in one house, which gave me better odds because it wouldn't let me do fight doesn't go the distance, but the official play, because I'll put the non-sexiest number up. I'm never one to beat the line anyways, and it's more about being on the right side. So you know me, if anything, I'm like I'm like anti-Tinder. I'm like one of the few guys that's secure with myself. I'll put the lower number out there, but yeah, nonetheless, both iterations of it hit. which was my biggest bet for 1 unit. I know, big money. I know, not much, but my biggest bet in comparison, because the dog shot on Perez and Moreno were only 3/4 units, right? Which was a good thing, because that would have dug into my profit probably. Maybe not, because it would have evened out 1-for-1. Not too far off on odds. But yeah, it was the bodywork. It was there all day, but Dober, I know it was a high action fight, and it's because I was betting the under. I was obviously much more biased and amped, like doing the what are you letting him off the hook for? Which may sound crazy to some of you, but I just think his corner was also yelling at Dober, to be fair, because they knew that he was falling and buying into his bullshit. Alves was tired. He was trying to act like he's like, I've got explosive stuff. He throws explosive stuff and he doesn't knock you out with it. He banks that it'll have built enough respect and reputation for him to recover until his next offering, right? And again, not going to be hindsight here, because I got caught into the bullshit too. Maybe it was that, Joe Anderson, Brito, Feely line, where it was like, those contender series guys that just make no sense, and they come out and there's athletic dynamos, right? And maybe they take out the guy who was always kind of fairly durable. Obviously, Dober much more durable than Feely, but Feely, especially before that last one, there was an argument there. He's had a lot of those same feels, right? A lot of those same feels here. We've had some of these matchups, right? Bill Algeo, I think, was in one. Maybe that was against Brito as well. But these are just beastly Brazilian dudes. But you gotta kind of read to who's looking the part and who's the. It's like playing the game with the Russian game, to stereotype. You gotta play the sorting game here, and yeah, man, whoever bought it on Dober wasn't me, so I can't take credit, even though I picked him and made money here. You got a discount on him because of that fear, right? That potential, that live dogness, right? But Dober's chin, man, it looks the way it is and performs the way it does for a reason. And bodywork is brutal for a reason, man. It is kryptonite to a lot of these tough cats out there. Shouts to anybody who put on Hamdi Abdel Wahab over Don'Tale Mays. I picked Mays, and I also sprinkled on him by submission in some houses, some small flyers there, tailing my guy Diehard MMA Pod. Boy, but Mays, man, I thought, maybe he's making some improvements. He definitely has athletic capabilities. Like did he do karate? It's like, oh no, he just kind of especially for a heavyweight, has such control of his body that he moves well and can adapt to things. And it looked like he was finally taking those capabilities in the right direction. But the dangerous part of that, especially if you're in a place like Jackson Wink that prioritizes flashy stuff over fundamentals, is that you can also go in the wrong direction. And it looks like it's pretty much, he just can't say no to that flashy stuff. I mean, he looked like he tried to do an Eduardo Tellez turtle style sweep, like a stepping sweep kind of a deal. A really dangerous one from a position that you shouldn't do it from. Not just standing, but there are spots where you can do it standing. If you're in a certain scramble, maybe you overthrew your right leg is behind theirs. Now you can kind of back step forward to save yourself from being out of position, and you're still doing a sacrifice and a gamble there, albeit. He was just running right into these things. It just looks so ridiculous. There's a gif going around of it now. So, part of me probably should have saw that coming too, but that's why it was a flyer for a reason. Drakkar Klose was holding up the other leg of the parlay. He was my most secure piece I felt good with. He defeated Rafa Garcia, half a Garcia, who came out and did his damnedest, but again, he couldn't get his wrestling going, and if he can't get his wrestling going, it's hard for Garcia, the rest of his game, to really work too well. Even though he did have his moments here, but Klose dug it out, and he just knows optics very well, man. He knows how to no-sell things. He just knows how to sell things really well to the judges, and that often just really speaks volumes. Didn't watch much of Michael Morales versus Adam Fugit, but Morales pulls one out. Jocelyn Edwards defeated Ji-Yeon Kim. Yeah, I don't know if at first I thought was Syndicate again, but she was actually at Thailand for this camp, so I don't know if it was like one of those adjustment periods of camps. Because Kim usually, to her credit, even though I picked Edwards to win here, nevertheless, to Kim's credit, she does fight a bit more aggressively. And I already gave you my opinion. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but as far as the scoring goes, Jocelyn Edwards doubled her up to the body, which maybe is why she didn't get the credit that many of you thought she deserved on the scorecards. Nikolai Negumereanu defeated Ihor Potieria. By the way, speaking of my guy earlier, Kyle Mack from Combat Chronicle podcast, he was mentioning in his podcast the DC going, all the Mexican boxers like Roberto and he almost, I'm like, oh, did anybody else catch that? And sure enough, my guy, of course, Kyle caught that. And to be honest, hopefully DC's wife didn't catch that because she's Mexican and she probably would have scolded him like, Daniel, you can't be lumping us all in together, And I'm not trying to pile on DC in the commentary, it's a hard job, man. And I'll be lucky if I get to do it someday. I'll be very privileged. But yeah, man, like DC and Rogan in round 5 was like, girls watching around can know that there's an avenue to beat Amanda Nunes, as it's like the round 5, she's getting 10-8'd, new cuts opened up on her forehead. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if that's the time to say that, DC. But oh yeah, the Negumereanu, like, I was gonna bring this up in a past podcast because I brought it up on past podcasts, like. I always say this, like, whether it's the UFC broadcast or other podcasts, listen, folks, whenever Nikolai Negumereanu faces, everybody gets weird about saying his last name. It's like they're afraid I always say this, they're afraid they're going to get Joe Rogan, right? They're afraid they're going to, be like Joe Rogan on his podcast and dropping an N-word. And they get so weird about it. And it's just almost like one of those things where it's like, it's only weird if you make it weird, kind of a deal. Like, it's just a name, say it. It's all... it's like, oh, I don't want to say it because I don't want to be racist, but it's almost like you're giving it too much attention to where you could argue that's arguably more racist than just plowing through and maybe coming off like you mispronounce it, God forbid, right? Because you're trying to pronounce a difficult name that's not your thing. Like, of course that's what it is. I don't know if that's what I'm saying makes sense, but I've said this before, and sure enough, it came up, and it was funny because I noticed this in watching tape for Volkan last week, and then I watched it again for doing tape on Ankalaev this week, which means I watched the Ankalaev Uzdemir fight, right, or whatever. Was that the fight it was, I believe? And I think it's like a Fight Island fight, and DC's like, Nick calls them Nikolai, no one named Nikolai is fighting. And DC's like, why are y'all going to let me say Nikolai? No, Nikolai is fighting. And then later Felder tries to save him and go, hey, DC, were you watching the fights last week? DC's like, yeah, why? He's like, did you catch Nikolai Negumereanu? And DC's like, no, what the hell? And then he finally gets it. He goes, oh, yeah, that's who I meant. Like, trying to, like, save face, And then someone goes, say the last name again. And then Paul Felder's like, no, I don't want to say it. And I'm like, oh, geez, here we go. So sure enough, right, we got DC calling Negumereanu versus Potieria. And DC just stumbled on it. I don't know if anybody else caught that. And I'm just like, oh, he doesn't want to get Joe Rogan. And I just would have loved to have seen I was dying because I would have loved to have seen what their facial expressions were to each other, because DC's must have been like, oh, I don't want to say that word. And then Rogan looking at him going, trust me, you don't want to say that word. Because Rogan says it all the time, apparently. But yeah, I was just like, oh, Jesus, the pot calling the kettle, potentially, in that booth. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else caught that and you thought about me calling this exact scenario was going to happen out. What else? Rogan was extra careful. And then you notice when Rogan was saying his name for the rest of this fight, I have never heard Rogan on his best behavior before. So I was just laughing every time Rogan was just like not even trying to fuck around, because someone got into their ear after their quiet laugh and giggle fest that they always have, but you could kind of read the subtext. Yeah, that's all I had for that's all I had for that fight. But Negumereanu won congrats. I had a lot of friends on him. This was just one of those fights again that was just like, it felt like one of those contentious Twitter fights where like, everybody has a strong opinion, and not only are they betting it, they're like betting like multiple units on it. I'm glad y'all cashed. You cashed. Sympathies who didn't cash on the Pantoja side. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad here, but again, I don't get. I'm like sitting here sweating like 3/4 units to a unit shot. Like every once in a while, I'll take the 1.5. Hey, it's so rare I'll go 2, and I always get burned when I go big. So part of me is just envious of y'all. You guys can so confidently take shots on these style of fights. Orion Koski defeated Blood Diamond. Glad I didn't take a shot on this one like I was talking about blind betting, because pre-fight Koski missed weight and that was troublesome. Still ended up keeping him for my pick even for Tout Master. And then sure enough, it ends with him going decision, so he wouldn't have gotten a TKO or sub anyways. So that bet would have crashed. All right, that recaps the card. I'm going to double check Twitter to see if we got anything. Otherwise, that's more than long enough episode here. Yeah, I gave someone a response on. They had a bodywork question. Ali Gad, MMA, just if like attributed body shots. Do they attribute to a body shot KO or something like that? And what do you say? Do you find body shot KOs are often the result of repeated body work, or would you say it's pleasing but more unlikely result of using body work to tire and fade an opponent? It all depends on context. A little column A, a little bit of column B, right? Attritive things should count both as a scoring and just as for a reductive, not reductive, as far as deciding what, reverse engineering how something happened, right? But similar to the head, attritive shots count and should count with the body, but you hit the solar plexus or liver, just like you knock someone unconscious or knock their equilibrium off foot. That can immediately say fuck all to whatever damage was being done from either side, right? So it could be hard to exactly decipher. But yes, and then also people don't work the body consistently, even when they're having success in MMA. So you got to watch more actual striking combat sports, like in boxing, for example. I don't know why Ward Gotti won is coming to mind when I know Ward was a majority decision. He didn't stop Gotti when he won, but he was getting him with those body shots, and you'll see oftentimes, even when they actually get the body shot KO in boxing, you'll see that a fighter will be stammered and sent to a knee, before the inevitable happens. And once you get touched there, they say, the commentary saying boxing a lot, like, it's easier to get hurt again now, right? So I definitely agree to that, but it's always hard to say one or the other. There's no, as I always say, folks, there's no easy answer for anything in this sport. You got to do the work, so time to turn the page, do the work for next week. Got a lot of work, a lot of things to do. And hopefully I'll be back on track with both betting stuff, getting some top fives out there and the like. Until then, good luck on your picks and plays. I'll see you guys Thursday at Daniel Tom MMA on YouTube, at the PYM Podcast on all social platforms if you want to help, at Dan Tom MMA on Twitter, mixedmartialanalyst.com for the Amazon on it and PayPal click-throughs. All right, folks, good luck, stay healthy, enjoy the finer things in life, and always protect your neck.